Hey y'all, how's everybody doing? This next video I wanted to talk about was the red flag that I ignored or missed. More like I ignored it, was being held back. Not talking like in the bar, like, come at me, bro, you're lucky my woman's holding me back. No, not that shit. I'm talking about holding you back from your true potential. This started off first as a minor annoyance, and then it escalated into something that was pretty genuine, and I was just not allowed to self improve. I was never really told, oh, you can't get better. I won't allow it. No, it comes in more covert ways. The Probably the biggest one and the first one that happened was I had written a book. It's been about 15 years ago. I wrote a book and it was written 2 years before I met my wife. Later on in the relationship, we'd probably been married about maybe 3, 4 years. I said, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and I'm going to write this out in a computer, type it all out, get a manuscript written, and send it off and try to get it published. She was all behind it, as far as behind me. She was all for it. However, she started telling me whose names I could and could not use, because one of the names I used happened to match the name of an ex girlfriend from years prior. I couldn't use that. And then I had taken characters in the book from inspiration from friends that I had growing up. Well, I couldn't use their names, not without her approval or anything like that. And I couldn't write it about this subject or that subject. Finally, I ended up throwing up my hands, and I don't ever know what became of those 400 handwritten pages. She held me back in that. She made me feel guilty. She told me what I should not do instead of encouraging me. She didn't like certain names, certain situations. She basically didn't like my work. And instead of encouraging me, instead of saying that it wasn't her cup of tea, but you go for it, no, she just said I just don't like it. You can't do this. You can't do that. Eventually, I just threw up my hands and said, well, fuck it. I ain't gonna do it no more. It ain't worth the damn headache. That was the biggest thing. That was probably, I should have definitely seen that red flag right there. Or I saw it, but I ignored it. I should have acted on the red flag. It was more accurate. More red flags on self improvement came much more recently. One of which, she wanted me to exercise a little bit more to get my physique back to what it was in the Marines. I don't think that's a problem. Everyone should want their mate to be attractive. Well, I would do that. I would do my exercises in the house. I'd have my heavy metal on. I'd be in my own little world, trying to get the most out of my workout that I possibly could for her. She would then guilt trip me for not spending enough time with her. Well, what am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to work out and just look at her the whole time? It's like I need some inspiration. You know, seeing my wife lie on the couch, that's not inspirational. Give me my heavy metal or whatever music you might listen to work out, and let me get the most out of my workout that I absolutely can. So she wanted, it's like she just wanted my physique to just magically change like that. I would go running to try to build up my endurance, to burn the fat and stuff like that. And well, again, I wasn't spending time with her. She took offense to the fact that I would get home, I from work, I'd put on my running shorts, put on my earbuds, and I'd go running. She didn't like that for some reason. I felt guilty for trying to do the very thing that she wanted me to do. I even started going to martial arts classes. Because of my job, I felt that that was something that I should do. At first, she was okay with it. And she said she was okay with it. However, when I would walk out the door, even after giving her a kiss, telling her I love her, all that good stuff, she would make snide, passive-aggressive remarks. One time, she even called me a bitch as I'm going out the door. I had just, bitch, kind of under her breath. I let it roll off of my back. Whatever. She's mad for some reason. Probably because I wasn't spending time with her. But as I'm going out the door, she said it louder to make sure that she was heard. And I responded in an appropriate way, at least that I felt like, why would you say that? Why would you make passive-aggressive remarks at me while I'm trying to go do something to improve myself? What she didn't understand also was I was doing this for her. In my line of work, the worst day of my life could also be the worst day of her life or the rest of my family's life if I'm not prepared. But what she really wanted, in my opinion, was for me to be there and spend time with her. Another thing she would held me back on. When we moved into our house, one of my neighbors is deaf. And I had always kind of wanted to learn sign language, In my work, I figured that would make me more marketable, having another language skill set. So I went all in on it. 1 day a week, 2 days a week, I would sit down and like I was doing homework. I would sit there and I would do a sign language lesson. Bill Vickers here on YouTube. Freaking amazing if you want to learn sign language. I highly recommend him. He's a great teacher. That's a side note. But she got upset because I was not spending time with her. The fact that I was trying to self-improve, the fact that I was trying to learn a skill which could become marketable, which would in fact enhance her life as well. If I ended up getting paid a little more because of that skill, no, it wasn't good for her. She didn't like the fact that I was off in another room learning sign language and not in there with her when I was trying to have my full attention on the class. Another thing she held me back on, and again, it's not a thing of like, you shouldn't do this or you can't do that. No, she would make me feel guilty for doing it. I started reading, let me move my stuff here. I started getting into Jordan Peterson a few years ago and listening to his lectures. So I ended up reading 12 Rules for Life. Okay, life-changing book, by the way. I highly recommend it. And one of his rules in here will get to what we're talking about. But she didn't like that I was studying a little bit of psychology and philosophy and some self-improvement. She didn't like that stuff. In fact, when I called her out on a lot of abuse, she said that what I was reading was making me think I was being abused. That was a red flag in another red flag. That I see these things and I'm called out for them, and my attempt at self-improvement is being blamed for it, okay? Folks, rule number 3 in Dr. Peterson's 12 Rules for Life is surround yourself with people who genuinely want the best for you. This woman did not want the best for me. She wanted something else. She saw every opportunity for me to improve myself, either intellectually or physically or financially. She saw it as something that took me away from her. How she got to that conclusion, I have no idea, because at the beginning it all was for her. But she just couldn't stand the fact that I was doing something to improve myself. People who are somewhat narcissistic or even highly narcissistic or just flat out abusive, they don't want you to be better. If you get the idea that somebody doesn't want you to be better, you need to run so fast that flames shoot out of your ass. Take it from me, because I didn't. I should have done it a long time ago. Improve yourself. If somebody doesn't want you to improve yourself, that is a ginormous, gargantuan red flag. Your partner should be all in on you improving yourself. They should be right there with you trying to improve themselves as well. That way, you can help each other improve. General Norman Schwarzkopf said, you can't help someone up a hill without getting closer to the top yourself. That is the type of mentality you should have in your relationships. Help each other and help yourselves too. Because in a relationship, you're one and the same, okay? You're a team. So again, this is number 3 in the series. I will post links in the other videos to the other red flags that I've missed or ignored. Seriously, if you feel like you're being held back, get out of it, guys.